Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Jade Alberts. I'm a workplace strategist that focuses on rejuvenation and re-energizing small businesses. Uh, my motto is telling it like it is. And today we have Dustin Paisley of Local Laundry, the co-founder. Unfortunately, we've had some issues with Be Live. It's not a new thing, but Dustin is going to be at least on the phone here. So, Dustin, how you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Oh, fantastic. It's a great Wednesday, a little smoky in Calgary here, and hopefully that goes away soon.
I hope so.
Yeah. I know you can't see it, but I'm repping my Local Laundry t-shirt. It's looking pretty good. I wore it in PEI for nationals, and everybody was like, "Oh, where did you get that shirt? It's pretty sweet." So
Awesome. Good to hear. Appreciate the support.
Oh, no problem. Glad to support any local company and any other company for that matter. So I guess what I'll do is I'll do a quick little introduction of you, and we'll get right into the questions here. Dustin is a co-founder of Local Laundry, an apparel company that builds community. As chief laundry operator, I do love that title, Dustin takes care of logistics, efficiencies, and financials of the business. For the past 3 years, Dustin and co-founder Connor Curran have been working on deepening their commitment to building community, which included a transition to entirely made in Canada production. During this time, they have also working on expanding the brand across Canada, which includes retail shops in Nova Scotia, BC, Ontario, Quebec, and all throughout Alberta, all while shipping internationally through their online e-commerce shop. Dustin brings an analytical background, which helps drive process and growth in key areas, which has attributed to over 200% growth year over year in the company, which is absolutely impressive. That's congratulations for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an exciting ride.
Oh, I bet. So I guess to start us off, how and why did you and Connor, come up with starting Local Laundry?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of my favorite stories, actually. And I wasn't on board when we first started. I was number two. But it all started when Connor was doing his MBA in Sweden, and sort of started to notice while he was traveling, people would be wearing these shirts that would kind of represent where they came from, and they were proud to be representing something, say East Coast lifestyle, for example, or Copenhagen, or all these different places from all around the world. And when he would talk to people and say, "Oh, I'm from Calgary," there was nothing that people could kind of recognize. And so it all started with a simple Google search, how to start a t-shirt company, which led to an hour-long YouTube video, which showed how to set up a Shopify store, link it to a fulfillment company called The Printful, and 2 hours later, we had an online store. So pretty humble beginnings. It was about $30 to get started, and about a day at a time of getting everything set up. And it really was just about that ability to be able to represent Calgary and represent where you came from. And so that was back in April of 2015. And a couple months later, I met Connor, and he'd just come back from his MBA. It had just been kind of tuning away at the online store, hadn't really turned it anything yet. And I sat down with him. I said, "Look, I think you really have something here." He was looking to bring some of his production local, and I'd been working for a company that was doing so. And so I said, "Look, the company that I'm working with can't do what you're looking for. That solution doesn't exist, but I'm willing to step up and do what it takes to get on board and take over at least part of what you're trying to accomplish. And let's go in this thing together." And so from that point on, we incorporated the company, realized that we really did have something, changed a few variations to design and supply, and we took off.
Oh, that's awesome. That's impressive. It's good for, I guess on your end, was it a little risky, or was it a no-brainer when you said, "Hey, my company can't do it, but I'm 100% in"?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I'd graduated from university in the spring of 2015, and I was really involved on campus. As part of a couple groups and organizations that took about 20 hours a week of my time on top of working, on top of course load. So I'd never not been crazy busy, and so that summer it was nice to actually spend time with my fiance at the time, now wife, just to actually have some time together and some time off. But I really just kind of had this feeling of I needed to sink my teeth into something. And so I'd been kicking around a couple ideas all summer, and then when Connor sat down with me and kind of explained what he was doing, I said, "This is exactly what I want to be doing." And so his kind of pitch to me was, there's nothing really out there other than the cartoon moose or the beaver with a little slogan that says Calgary, and the design that he had come up with I thought was pretty unique. And the classic, our famous X design just had the letters in there, and there was nothing in that bottom piece. So I think it was pretty symbolic of our partnership coming together. I just came in with that mountain, completed the last piece, and that was just sort of our partnership coming together. And so from my end, there wasn't a ton of risk. It wasn't a full company yet. It was really just kind of an idea. Yeah. Connor done a lot of background work. I credit him to getting started. That's often the hardest part. But for me, it really was a no-brainer. I really believed in what he was doing. He incorporated the 10% goes back to charity from the get-go, which is something that really appealed to me. And again, I really saw an opportunity for what he was trying to do.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess rolling into that rolls into kind of my next question about having, starting up something from the beginning. What were your struggles and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, there's a lot of struggles at the beginning, and I've actually, I work for ATB Financial as an entrepreneur strategist, and I'm sure you see this as a consultant. In the beginning phases, there's so many things that need to be figured out and discovered, and you're really, you're starting from nothing. And so some of the biggest challenges for us were, we're starting a new company. How do you do it in a very cost-effective way? Connor just finished his MBA. I just graduated from university. We both were not in a position where we had a lot of money to sink into this company. And so for us, one of the big things was how do we do this as, get out there as quick as we can for as cheap as we can. Yeah. And so we originally were using a online fulfillment company, which meant that we would upload our designs to that website. Anytime someone would order from our Shopify store, it would automatically be sent to this company called The Printful, and they were down in LA. And so we were, Connor from Sweden could have someone order from Calgary. He wouldn't have to do anything. A shirt would be printed in LA and then shipped to Calgary. And so to grow and kind of get the brand going, that was a great system because everything was sort of taken care of. We didn't have to worry. But that started to present a lot of challenges just with the border. As we started to get more orders, the orders became larger in cost. We started dealing with tariffs, delays at the borders. They would hold the packages. And, after about, I think it was about 6 months, we started to get some interest from retailers. And with an online fulfillment company, that was pretty difficult to facilitate. So we ended up doing our first production run in Calgary for some pieces. And, we put the order on our credit cards, and that was basically how we started the company. Was just the first couple orders that we put through were on our credit cards, got those to the retailers, and then eventually just kind of worked through figuring out a better solution for how we could navigate, because the challenge there was if someone would order, let's say we started with snapbacks. So someone would order a snapback, which was made here in Calgary, or at least decorated here, and we would ship from here. But if they ordered a sweater plus a snapback, well, then we'd have 2 shipments coming. So one shipment from Calgary with the hat, one shipment from LA. So it wasn't long before we realized we needed to figure out a solution for that. And so that became more and more of our production became something we would do here. And I would essentially go pick it up. Connor would take it to his basement. Him and his family would have a little sewing party where they'd sew on the hang tags. They'd put through all the labels, and then I would pick up every week all the orders for that week, take them home to my office, package them, label them, ship them out, drop them off at Canada Post. And that worked fine for a while, but as we kind of grew, you'd be so excited to see all these orders come in, but every time you see an order come in, it's an excitement mixed with a bit of anxiety because that's an extra however long you're going to be up that night packing boxes. And so eventually we found a solution out of Toronto that essentially took care of everything. So they're now our production team. They've done some of our manufacturing. They do all of our hang tagging, bagging, decoration, and then they'll store it in their warehouse and fulfill it out for us. So it's a full service that kind of takes care of our entire back end, which thankfully, we found, and we've developed a really good relationship with them. We're actually heading out there at the end of the month to meet with them and just kind of discuss our plans for Christmas. Oh. But it's really just kind of taking it as you go and figuring out those steps. And I think one of the philosophies we've always lived by is we're both really big fans of the Tim Ferriss or our work week book.
Yeah.
And it's not so much this notion of only working for 4 hours. I think we both love the work we do. We'd rather work far more than 40 hours. But it's the philosophies in there of find a piece of your business that you can have someone else take over, right? Or what can you automate, or what can you outsource? And so outsource for us meant, well, bookkeeping, that's taking up a lot of time. Let's find someone who's an expert at that, and they can take over that care of business. Perfect. Let's find someone who can do social media. We found someone who's phenomenal at that, and she does all that for us. Someone who does all of our blogging, all our collaborations. And so just picking pieces of the business where you can have someone else come in and take care of it. I think we have to look for areas that we can get into someone else's hands. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's oftentimes the hardest thing to do, is because if you want something done right, you do it yourself. But as a small business owner, it's impossible to do everything yourself. And so for us, early on, getting rid of those tasks that someone else could take care of, I think has really helped us get to that successive growth that we've had, because we've been able to focus on sales and products and operations, and all those little pieces have been taken care of by other people.
That's you've knocked off the next few questions, and that is absolutely perfect. And I stress out there, as you said, you don't have to be there by yourself. You don't have to, you start small, you bootstrap. I mean, that is just something that is outstanding. And, as you said, it's an excitable moment when you get that order, but it's a lot of extra work, and to see you guys evolve into, finding solutions and knowing what you're good at, and bringing in other people to help you that are experts in other divisions is such a relief off of a peace of mind for you guys. And it helps the companies grow. It helps your company grow. It can help other companies as they listen to this piece of advice, because some people that are wearing 7 or 8 hats in the company as a small business owner, they have a hard time letting go. And that is probably the number one thing I come across with dealing with these small businesses, is that letting go and thinking you have to do it themselves. So that is a very, very, very good point that you made, Dustin.
Yeah, and it's hard, right? I completely understand. It's hard for a number of reasons. Number one is your business best. So, you probably would do a great job at it. Now, that being said, there are experts in certain areas. We hired a girl who does our social media, and she's far better than myself and Connor. I joke with Connor all the time that I threaten I'm going to take away his Instagram password, because he's always on there, commenting, and I always give him crap because he uses too many exclamation marks. And both the girls that work for us or work with us are their communication degrees, so they're far better at that than we are. And so just getting off our chest, but it's also, it costs money. Yeah. So as a small business, that's something that's very it's not something that you have a lot of, and so it is tricky, because you want to make sure you're in the right places.
And that's one thing about bringing in either a consultant or somebody from the outside or another marketing firm is they're able to, work within your budget. And a lot of people have that misconception that, oh my God, if I bring in somebody, I'm going to have to pay them X amount of dollars a year. Whereas, you know what, you come in and say, listen, I have this. Okay, well, let's work with this and grow together. I mean, a lot of people want to grow with the company and be part of something that's exciting and new, and being able to tout that, saying, hey, I had a part in this, even though it's not my company, but I was there for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Sure.
And we've always looked at it, and it kind of, again, we were kind of forced to, and I think it was a really big challenge, but I think it was sort of part of our DNA is when we both started the company having full-time jobs, time was our number one asset. And so the way we always looked at it is, how can I get back 10 hours of my week? How can I get back 5 hours of my week? Or, even spending, we use this tool called Zapier, and it's an automation tool. And so it will connect thousands of different applets. And so for us, we use it because we've built a wholesale platform on our website. And this little tool will take those wholesale orders and input it into QuickBooks. Whereas previously, the order would go through, and we would have to go through and manually create that invoice in QuickBooks. And as our retail accounts started to get more and more, that time started to take up more and more time. And so we looked at this, and I think it was about $300 US, which is a pretty big investment for 1 year for a little piece of technology. But we looked at it, and it's like, how much time is this going to save us over the course of a year? And if it's more than, we do the math, and it's quite a significant number of hours. You run the numbers at cost per hour, and it checks out.
Oh no, for sure. And for anybody that's watching, the locallaundry.ca website is up there. All you have to do is click on it in the comments and it'll take you direct there. And I mean, one of the other points that you brought up about small businesses is the money factor and doing things as you grow and on your own. It is money doesn't grow on trees, and it's sometimes it's very hard to come by. So spend wisely, and that's something that's a very another teachable moment here.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what's next for Local Laundry? I know you've moved your production to Canada, so explain why you do that and where you're going to go.
Sure. So the premise of Local Laundry is, we use. What we're doing is building community. That's kind of the core mission and the core values and what we set out to do. We do that in a number of different ways. One of them is we give back to community through 10% of profits. We've got a couple different pillars, but one of them is collaboration with other local businesses, and so we try as often as we can to work with other local businesses in the community.
Yeah.
And so for us, this next year is really focusing in on how do we do a better job at building community. We're doing a pretty good job now, but we're always looking to improve that. And another big one is really getting that across Canada. So we see a bit of an opportunity right now, and we could be wrong, but we feel that the millennial generation, a lot of the younger folks and even older folks, they tend to like to support more local companies.
Yes.
The fashion industry is sort of going in one of two ways. There's the one side, which is the race to the bottom, the cheap, the fast fashion. And I think that'll be around for a while, but I think it's slowly starting to change. You've seen even H&M move into more of a higher end, sustainable type of products. So on that opposite side of the spectrum, you get the sustainability, the local, and the companies in fashion that actually care about the supply chain. They care about the factories. They care about where their goods are coming from. And so that's sort of the side that we're chasing. And so for us, our pipe dream is that we become the roots for our generation. When you look at roots, and when I was a kid, I had a ton of it, but today, I wouldn't even step foot in one of the stores. It's just kind of lost that brand value among the younger generation. It's all made in China. It's still good stuff, but I just feel like they've sort of missed the mark in connecting to the younger generation. So that's the gap that we see, and we kind of want to fill. We find that we're really popular among athletes. Got a lot of really cool Canadian athletes that are wearing our gear because it's made in Canada. It's got that simple Canadian branding, which they really tend to love. Yeah. And one of the big things in making that move to made in Canada was going back to being local laundry. So, I mean, it's in our name as it is, having the local piece. Yeah. But also in building community. It was actually a conversation with I would consider one of our mentors, and he just kind of called us out on it one day over beers. He's just like, why are you not made in Canada? You guys are local laundry. You're committed to building community. It just doesn't make sense. And so we kind of talked it out over a few beers and came to the conclusion that, he was absolutely right. If we wanted to be truly living our brand values, we should be 100% made in Canada. So prior to that, we had a few overseas productions, made in Canada production. But it really just back to, are we living our true core values? And what a made in Canada help us get there?
And that is another great valid point is, why you should have someone in your network, whether it be your mentor or someone that a business advisor that you look up to. It doesn't have to be a paying event, but you know what? They tell you sometimes what you need to hear. And it's very important to listen to that advice. And that's such a good point he brought up. And for you guys to listen to that is priceless. And I think that in the long term, in my opinion, will, goes towards, as you said, your core values and will make your company more successful. Yeah, it'll pay off. I mean, it's definitely tough right now. It's a really ugly transition because we've got a lot of existing inventory. Yeah. We had a big retailer come in and ask to do an order, and they've had $35,000 orders in the past, and they didn't give us a number for this order, but we said no. We can't go back on our promise. We can't do any more non-made in Canada production. We're focusing on made in Canada production. Yeah. And so, it's been tough, and we've been turning away quite a bit of money. But
But again, we look at the longevity of this. And so for right now, if we're just a non-made in Canada t-shirt company that's making cool designs, sweet. There's going to be plenty more of those where that comes from, and there already are. So for the longevity of it, we might suffer for the next year as this transition happens, or it might be really well received and we'll pick up. But we figure, how can we be around in 10, 20, 30, 50 years? And what does building out that type of company look like? And so that's another big focus for this year is how do we start to put the wheels in motion and start to put things in place where we're really looking at this and building up this company in a way that helps us be around for the next 50 years.
That's awesome. That is a great vision. So I guess my last, as I've asked everybody here that I've had on, if you were to give one piece of advice for a startup, a new business, a solopreneur, what would it be?
So I have one for anyone who's thinking about it or is just kind of getting started or is kind of in that early discovery phase, which is just go out and do it. Right. I think the hardest thing is actually just to start. And I credit, my business partner, Connor, for doing it. I remember in the early days when I first got the social media access, I was looking back through just to see what kind of interactions had gone on. And it wasn't pretty. There's a lot of people that, and I remember one in particular, I think his words were, "This design is dog shit. Your company will not be around for more than 2 months." I remember reading that, just thinking like, holy cow, what have I gotten into? But there's always going to be people out there who don't believe in what you're doing. There's always going to be people out there who are negative and trying to put you down because, I don't know, maybe they're a little bit, haven't done it themselves and they just want to put others down. But there's always going to be barriers to you getting there. And so if you can just get started and continue going, it's step by step. That's probably the biggest piece of advice is really just get started, keep going, and it's step by step. It's not all at once. You're on a pretty large mountain, and it is just day by day chipping away. If you can do one thing, even 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day to spend on it, think about, over a month, that maybe not a lot, but over a year or 2 years or 3 years, that starts to become quite a significant amount of work.
No, absolutely. That's a great point. And there's been a lot of teachable moments in this one, and I appreciate that, Dustin, for you taking time out of your schedule. And it's sorry that people have to look at my face for this long of an interview. We needed you on there so they'd take a focus away from me. But
no way.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. It's an outstanding story, Local Laundry. I mean, I'm wearing their T-shirt. I have a T-shirt. I have a hat. The quality is outstanding, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys thrive and grow for the next, as you said, 20 or 30 years. That is awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And thanks so much for having us. I know it can be a pretty lonely journey as an entrepreneur. It can be pretty challenging at the beginning. There's a lot of things that discourage you. So it's really great to see people like yourself and, this small business summer success stories. It really helps, right, to know that you're not in it together and to help give some advice to others. So I appreciate you doing what you're doing.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dustin. And to everyone, next week we'll have another. We're going to have Karma Camper Vans on. David Wald. It's going to be another Calgary success story. Actually, he's a brand new startup, so that is going to be excellent. Excellent conversation. My name is Jade Alberts. I am a strategist that focuses on rejuvenating and re-energizing businesses. If you ever want to have a coffee or a beer, just give me a shout, and I'd be glad to sit down with you. Dustin, thanks again, and everybody, we'll see you next week. Have a good day.
Awesome.